Pranam, everyone. I am Seva Preet, and today I'm here with Devin Natalia of InnerSpark, and she's going to talk to us about flower essences and plant medicine. She makes these amazing essence creations with the plants, and this is a kind of healing modality that I think is really, really beautiful. So she's going to share with us today, how this works, how she puts them together, how they can serve you, how they can help you heal, help you transform. Morning, Devin.
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction and for being here with me this morning. So, flower essences, I could talk about them forever. So, in a nutshell, they can be thought of as energetic herbalism. So much in the way that ingesting a physical plant works on your physical body, the essence or the energy of a plant works on your energetic levels. They're great for shifting out old habits and old patterns, old beliefs that lodge themselves in our cellular memory and our tissue and wreak havoc in our body. For example, we've all had those moments where we are anticipating maybe an argument with somebody, right? Like we have to go talk to a family member or something and we're like all keyed up about it, so we feel tense. Imagine living like that constantly. Maybe there's something that you're carrying from your childhood, something unprocessed. And so just being in that state on a subtle level for like your whole freaking life.
Yeah.
And flower essences are great
I felt that.
Right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, many of us have.
Yeah.
I know I have some wonderful stories I can share personally and from clients. So yes, they coupled with some like mentoring and real life applications, because it's one thing to get energy work done. I always joke that it's not enough to jog and drink green juice for your physical body. And it's not enough just to go visit a healer and get your chakras aligned. You need to find that middle ground of practical real life applications. And then also that energetic support as well. And in my practice, that's what I do. I blend the science and the woo. I've got a master's in nutrition and integrative health, but just my whole life, I've always been drawn to the natural world. I've made plant potions and talked to the flowers and the trees and thought that I was nuts because that's not a normal thing to do. So I stuck on the clinical route and realized these things have to go together. When somebody comes to me and they're desiring change, oftentimes they know exactly what they need to do. And it's just a matter of getting themselves to love themselves enough to do it. So that's where the flowers really come in, and we can shift out what's blocking, and the change process just goes so much more smoothly.
So tell us, how you make these amazing little potions. Like, what's the process of creating a plant essence or a flower essence?
Sure. So I work typically with people one-on-one. So I don't usually make like a one-size-fits-all formula. And a session with a client is usually about an hour, and it could involve many things. There's no real rules or guidelines for a session, but we'll dive into what their current challenges are and what their goals and desires are. Honestly, it's a very just intuitive, flowy process. And I'm receiving hits for different flowers and different things as we go. And it's really interesting because sometimes things will come to me and I'm like, I don't even know what that flower is, or I'm not quite sure of what that flower's medicine is. And then when the session's over and I have all my notes, I'll go, cross-reference. I'm like, oh, wow, thank you. Because that's exactly what they need right now. So I will make them a blend typically of about 5 different essences. And the essences are stored in water and traditionally brandy or apple cider vinegar. And to make a flower essence, they're made out of live plants, and they can be made out of trees and flowers, any plant. And they're made by putting it in water in the sunlight. And asking its permission and journeying with it. And its particular energetic frequency and code is stored in that water. And so I have my collection, my apothecary, and I'll make a client a blend to support them in what they need at that time. And they'll take that. It usually lasts about a month, anywhere from like 3 to 5 weeks. It's amazing how the exact same amount in a bottle, taking 3 drops 3 times a day, I can't explain it, but sometimes it runs out faster, sometimes less. It's just the flowers. And a client will also receive individual mentoring and guidance and any lifestyle practices or things that they can be doing to really support the change process and enhance the essence's effects.
Okay. And then, how, for people that are unfamiliar with things like using these flower essences or using plant medicine, explain kind of how these create these changes in your body. Like, I know we've talked before about it. It's kind of the same way that I use mantra and I use crystal, that, all these things carry this vibratory essence. And when you kind of plug that vibratory essence into your vibratory essence, it catalyzes these shifts, these changes, because everything is always interacting. But you explain it from like the plant world perspective for people that don't know yet.
I mean, you just said it beautifully. That was perfect and so spot on. And it's the exact same. Everything is energy. And just because, I think, especially in the West, we think of energy as like microwaves or radio frequency waves, things that we can't see. And that's just not true. Like, matter is energy. I am simply in this body, and this body is a bunch of atoms that are vibrating in such a way that come together to make this vessel that I get to carry around with me in this lifetime. And different things that happen to me in my life, that happen to all of us, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever they are, store themselves in this vessel. And something else to think about that I always tell people too is like, we're like 70% water. We're just an excuse for water to be walking around. And when we look at the studies they've done on water, the Asian doctor, he did the studies on the water and yelled at it. They were nice to it. They sang songs to it. They also showed different flower essence water, and they all had different crystal structures when they were frozen.
Yeah, that study's so fascinating. I remember,
and is in our body. So the
so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. So an event will happen, something will happen, and seem like a big deal at the time, but it is stored in us. And when we flow through our emotional body, emotions are meant in motion, they're still in there. They're still just kind of there, and they're vibrating and can create some dysfunction. And these imprints can wreak physical havoc, abso-freaking-lutely. Whether it's just tension, like I talked about in the beginning, or it's full on, digestive issues, or a lot of my clients have various hormonal and endocrine issues. And so we'll support them with the physical, nutrition and lifestyle, the more Western stuff. And then when we can really get in and uncover, like, what is that driving belief that is leading you to exhaustion, that you're always going into adrenal fatigue, regardless of how much physical support you have, you're still susceptible to that. And so when we can get to the root, we know what's causing it. The flowers can come in and reshift. And sometimes we don't know. We need to peel layers away, and the flowers can help us with that too, kind of stabilize us enough to let us see or have the flashes of insight to remember, like, oh, that happened. Yes. Okay. Or maybe it's something else from your lineage, like carrying trauma from your great-great-grandmother, and it's passed down. I mean, it's fascinating what we hold.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I wanted to say too, because I was thinking about this, and we've also talked about this, you said you just kind of naturally talk to plants and talk to flowers and all that weird stuff. And I did too, since I was a kid, I always had a relationship with plants, and I had like a Christmas tree I was really in love with once, and, bawled and bawled and bawled when my parents got rid of it, which was like months later. I made them keep it for a really long time until it was totally dead and brown. And when they finally had to throw it out, like, I was devastated. It was my friend. So some people kind of just naturally have this relationship with the natural world like that, with the plants like that. But for others who, haven't experienced that, but are curious about working with the flower essences or the plant essences, this is something that you can absolutely start to develop a sensitivity for. you know, just because you haven't had that sort of interaction in the past, or you don't really know what we're talking about, you can totally, you know, start using these, and you will start to develop your own sensitivity and your own relationship with the plant and with the essences. And I think you told a funny little thing about your dad using them before. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. And that's so true. When you start to use them, you become more sensitive. And this gift, or whatever you want to call it, is not reserved for like a select few really cool people who are just like, oh, I talk to plants. Like, no, it is something that I am committed to. I am always deepening. And I still have the skeptical little voice in the back of my head that's like, Devin, you read scholarly journals for fun. I don't think they've ever talked about talking to plants. Like, somebody would probably commit you if you said that. And yes, about my dad, I always joke that if I can get him to be on board with flower essences, and to the point where he comes to me and is like, hi, do you have time for us maybe sometime this week? Like, anyone in the world can, because he is very skeptical and kind of just like a stereotypical guy's guy. Like, oh, that stuff's, you know, whatever, it's not real. But he has experienced some profound healing and profound shifts in his physical, emotional, mental, and energetic body.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for talking. Is there anything else? I'm gonna have you, before we close, I'm gonna have you give like all your contact details. But is there anything else you really want to, you know, say about these flower essences? Or did we kind of cover it?
Just that, honestly, it's time for all of us to realize that our physical bodies are only a part of the picture. We are multi-dimensional beings that require TLC on all levels. And I talk about the 4 bodies. I know in Kundalini there's like 10. I love that, but I find many of my clients that can be overwhelming. So I talk about physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And all of these layers need their own particular medicine. And it's really time for us to return to the earth, you know, eating her whole foods, using herbal medicine, using energetic remedies, and understanding that the state of our bodies and our rapidly declining health in the West, there's no coincidence that there's also the rapidly declining health of the earth. And so just kind of coming back to a more simpler way and a more holistic way of healing, and not just, like I said, not just going to get the chakra work and not just having a green juice and going for a jog. It really, I mean, love on your whole being, really. That's what I would love to get people to know and think about.
Yeah, I love that. Love on your whole being. That's a good line. Okay, well, thank you. So just FYI, Devin has made a very cool blend for my new course, The Art of Fearless Living, which is a fearless blend to help support kind of this transformation of catalyzing fear into passion, into vitality. So you can check that out. That's on the website. And Devin, please give us all your contact info so people can get a hold of you to learn more about the flower essences or have a session with you.
Sure. Yeah. And that blend I'm very excited about. It's amazing. Really, fear is our greatest teacher. And I can't wait for your course. I can be found at InnerSpark.life, INNER spark.life. And I do offer free 30-minute consultations, a couple each time a week. And so if you're curious and would like to talk, please come talk to me. I won't bite. I love learning about people's needs. I can be emailed at db@innerspark.life. Cyberstalk me, Instagram, InnerSpark Life, and Facebook, InnerSpark Life.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.